Hi there, I'm Marius, still in the process of replicating the Client API of model-driven apps to Power Pages, and today's topic is the formcontext.data namespace. Let us first cover getIsDirty. The Power Pages Client API, of course, can get this from the attributes because they also have a getIsDirty function. It just iterates all the attributes if any is dirty, but if you are implementing this on your own and you want to identify if there is any dirty attribute, you can go into the form. Let's select here the decimal field. Currently it has the classes text, decimal, and form control, and as soon as I will change them, it will receive the additional class dirty. So you can check your inputs if you have a dirty input. Refresh is in general also interesting. I had to use it in a lot of use cases. For example, with ribbon buttons, you click a button, an action is performed in the background, and then we refresh the data for the user. However, in Power Pages, you wouldn't have the direct access, and what the Client API just leverages here is the browser refresh, so something like this. However, I want to mention here that this is not guaranteed to get you the latest data because Power Pages works with caches and might cache the old data that you just changed in the background, and Power Pages will still retrieve the old data from cache instead of loading the new ones. There are techniques to get around this, but that's a separate topic. And another problem that I will demonstrate you is with formcontext.data save. It's not hard to save because you can simply simulate clicking the submit button on create and update forms. However, this will trigger a navigation regardless if it's successful or not. So let's put in here into the decimal field some invalid values. And now watch the reloading. Up here you see it's processing currently. We've reloaded and we see up here the failed validation. This sadly means that any successful click that leads to a processing state is captured as a success, and you would have to build a logic that runs onload and checks the validation summary. And if it has children, then there is a validation summary, so the save failed. And if it does not have children, that usually means you haven't submitted yet, because the usual options after saving is navigating away or showing a success message. So let's do that. So again, the reload happened, but this time inside the entity form control, we just have a message panel with a success class. So let's see save in action. So in the then function, I've put in a console log success, but we wouldn't see this because in a reload, the console is cleared and also all our JavaScripts are reinstantiated. So I've put in the debugger here so that we can still have some interaction. I've put in a decimal value that is definitely invalid. So if I will hit enter now, we will see this changing to a processing state, but then the page will reload with the validation error displayed. So we have here hit the debugger in the success path, but after processing, it says we have an invalid decimal value. The same occurs if I put in a valid value here, and we again go with saving the value. So let's watch the button down here. We again hit the success path. It's processing, and we have a successful submission. As of recording these videos, the Power Pages Client API is not in a production-ready state yet. However, I invite you to follow along, and if you're interested in a specific function, everything in the Power Pages Client API is open source, so hop on over to GitHub and steal your favorite bits from there.